The objective of the labor inspection is to further strengthen the implementation of the visitorial and enforcement powers under the Labor Code as renumbered towards securing a higher level of compliance with labor laws and standards and ensuring continuity and sustainability of compliance at workplaces. For this purpose, the Department of Labor and Employment delegates this function to the regional offices with the issuance of a list of labor inspectors who are given the authority of conduct inspection, which covers all private establishments, including their branches and workplaces in the regions.
The regional offices enforce labor laws and social legislation through the conduct of labor inspection, occupational safety and health investigation, and technical and advisory visit. Special inspections may be conducted as may be deemed necessary.
With the provision for mobile devices and gadgets, the DOLE developed an inspection management information system. An important feature of the system is data capture and transmittal from the field in real time, as an electronic checklist is filled up through the use of mobile devices and gadgets. Data are instantly available for viewing and processing to generate reports, statistics, and summons, including real-time monitoring of decent work indicators based on the country's decent work profile. The TAV, or Technical and Advisory Visit, aims to provide assistance to the micro-establishments, or establishments that have 1 to 9 employees, to be sustainable, productive, and competitive. It also aims to transition our micro-establishments to the formal economy that is profitable, while also complying with our labor laws and occupational safety and health standards. There are different ways or modalities to avail TAV. First is the online method. Establishments can enroll in the self-paced technical and advisory modules through our learning management system. For establishments that opted to go with online, they must accomplish the modules within 1 month from the time they registered. Second is on-site. The DOLE regional, field, and provincial offices conduct on-site or face-to-face orientation for the technical and advisory services, wherein micro-establishments are invited to attend. Third is hybrid setup. Establishments can enroll in on-site sessions and attend virtual meetings or webinars using various online platforms like MS Teams, Viber, Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. The establishment report system was created to streamline the documents and reports required from establishments in the private sector. Several administrative requirements will be submitted through this site as a central platform. Through this system, employers no longer need to physically submit establishment reports to DOLE, since reportorial requirements can be completed remotely through the ERS.
There are various types of report that can be submitted through the establishment report system. These are telecommuting report, job displacement report, flexible work arrangement, 13th month pay compliance report, and employer's work accident or illness report.
The establishment report system ensured the safety of employees of Dole and its clients by minimizing the risk of contracting the COVID-19, since the need for physical contact has been removed in this process. The objective of the labor inspection is to further strengthen the implementation of the visitorial and enforcement powers under the Labor Code as renumbered towards securing a higher level of compliance with labor laws and standards and ensuring continuity and sustainability of compliance at workplaces. For this purpose, the Department of Labor and Employment delegates this function to the regional offices with the issuance of a list of labor inspectors who are given the authority of conduct inspection, which covers all private establishments, including their branches and workplaces in the regions.
The regional offices enforce labor laws and social legislation through the conduct of labor inspection, occupational safety and health investigation, and technical and advisory visit. Special inspections may be conducted as may be deemed necessary.
With the provision for mobile devices and gadgets, the DOLE developed an inspection management information system. An important feature of the system is data capture and transmittal from the field in real time, as an electronic checklist is filled up through the use of mobile devices and gadgets. Data are instantly available for viewing and processing to generate reports, statistics, and summons, including real-time monitoring of decent work indicators based on the country's decent work profile. The TAV, or Technical and Advisory Visit, aims to provide assistance to the micro-establishments, or establishments that have 1 to 9 employees, to be sustainable, productive, and competitive. It also aims to transition our micro-establishments to the formal economy that is profitable, while also complying with our labor laws and occupational safety and health standards. There are different ways or modalities to avail TAV. First is the online method. Establishments can enroll in the self-paced technical and advisory modules through our learning management system. For establishments that opted to go with online, they must accomplish the modules within 1 month from the time they registered. Second is on-site. The DOLE regional, field, and provincial offices conduct on-site or face-to-face orientation for the technical and advisory services, wherein micro-establishments are invited to attend. Third is hybrid setup. Establishments can enroll in on-site sessions and attend virtual meetings or webinars using various online platforms like MS Teams, Viber, Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. The establishment report system was created to streamline the documents and reports required from establishments in the private sector. Several administrative requirements will be submitted through this site as a central platform. Through this system, employers no longer need to physically submit establishment reports to DOLE, since reportorial requirements can be completed remotely through the ERS.
There are various types of report that can be submitted through the establishment report system. These are telecommuting report, job displacement report, flexible work arrangement, 13th month pay compliance report, and employer's work accident or illness report.
The establishment report system ensured the safety of employees of Dole and its clients by minimizing the risk of contracting the COVID-19, since the need for physical contact has been removed in this process. The objective of the labor inspection is to further strengthen the implementation of the visitorial and enforcement powers under the Labor Code as renumbered towards securing a higher level of compliance with labor laws and standards and ensuring continuity and sustainability of compliance at workplaces. For this purpose, the Department of Labor and Employment delegates this function to the regional offices with the issuance of a list of labor inspectors who are given the authority of conduct inspection, which covers all private establishments, including their branches and workplaces in the regions.
The regional offices enforce labor laws and social legislation through the conduct of labor inspection, occupational safety and health investigation, and technical and advisory visit. Special inspections may be conducted as may be deemed necessary.
With the provision for mobile devices and gadgets, the DOLE developed an inspection management information system. An important feature of the system is data capture and transmittal from the field in real time, as an electronic checklist is filled up through the use of mobile devices and gadgets. Data are instantly available for viewing and processing to generate reports, statistics, and summons, including real-time monitoring of decent work indicators based on the country's decent work profile. The TAV, or Technical and Advisory Visit, aims to provide assistance to the micro-establishments, or establishments that have 1 to 9 employees, to be sustainable, productive, and competitive. It also aims to transition our micro-establishments to the formal economy that is profitable, while also complying with our labor laws and occupational safety and health standards. There are different ways or modalities to avail TAV. First is the online method. Establishments can enroll in the self-paced technical and advisory modules through our learning management system. For establishments that opted to go with online, they must accomplish the modules within 1 month from the time they registered. Second is on-site. The DOLE regional, field, and provincial offices conduct on-site or face-to-face orientation for the technical and advisory services, wherein micro-establishments are invited to attend. Third is hybrid setup. Establishments can enroll in on-site sessions and attend virtual meetings or webinars using various online platforms like MS Teams, Viber, Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. The establishment report system was created to streamline the documents and reports required from establishments in the private sector. several administrative requirements will be submitted through this site as a central platform. Through this system, employers no longer need to physically submit establishment reports to DOLE since reportorial requirements can be completed remotely through the ERS.
There are various types of report that can be submitted through the establishment report system. These are telecommuting report, job displacement report, flexible work arrangement, 13th month pay compliance report, and employer's work accident or illness report.
The establishment report system ensures the safety of employees of DOLE and its clients by minimizing the risk of contracting the COVID-19 since the need for physical contact has been removed in this process.
Hello, magandang hapon po sa lahat. Eid Mubarak, a blessed celebration of Idil Fitr. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of Webinar Wednesdays of the Department of Labor and Employment, hosted by the Bureau of Working Conditions. I am Eunice Bingil, and I am your moderator for today's webinar. Today is a holiday at tuloy-tuloy po ang ating usapang OSH o Occupational Safety and Health this month of April. Last Wednesday, atin pong itinalakay ang tuberculosis prevention and control in the workplace. At ngayon naman ay ating tatalakayin ang roles of OSH personnel and importance of facilities. And so before we begin our webinar, let us first start with a prayer.
Let us bow our head and put ourselves in the holiness of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify and thank your name. You have showered us with so much faithfulness and guidance. We today of your greatest inspiration so that he may share the most of his knowledge, his field of expertise, and to his respective topics. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge, experiences, and put it into practice that we may learn today. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this webinar. May we be a living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of your Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Hello once again and good afternoon sa ating Facebook Live participants. Pa-heart react naman po sa ating live viewers. As of now, we have 212 live viewers. Maraming salamat po. And you may also share this live stream webinar to your Facebook and use hashtag Webinar Wednesdays. And share with your colleagues, friends, and families to inform more people about OSH standards. And if ever you have questions or inquiries, kindly use the comment section and this will be answered and addressed by the resource speaker during the question and answer, and that is right after the lecture. So before we proceed to our topic, let us first know more about our Bureau. Ano ang mga programa, services, and functions of Bureau of Working Conditions? Panoorin po natin ito.
The Bureau of Working Conditions is mandated to focus on performing policy and program development and performing advisory functions for the department in the administration and enforcement of laws relating to labor standards. Specifically, the BWC develops and prescribes labor standards and policies, programs, and devices relative to its administration and enforcement. It also exercises technical and functional supervision over the DOLE regional offices as they conduct administration and enforcement activities in the respective regions. The Bureau also conducts research in aid of safety standards, policy programs, measures, and device development on labor standards. And lastly, the Bureau provides knowledge and information services on labor standards data, programs, and enforcement activities. There are 5 flagship programs of the Bureau, namely Labor Inspection, technical and advisory visit, policy and program development, monitoring of programs such as construction safety and health program, technical safety inspection. And the last flagship program is the case management. The labor inspection program ensures that private sector establishments employing workers comply with the general labor standards, occupational safety and health standards, and other social legislations intended to safeguard the rights of workers to just and humane conditions at work. This is in line with the visitorial and enforcement power of the Secretary of Labor and Employment under Articles 128 and 129 of the Labor Code of the Philippines, and it is the flagship program of the BWC for ensuring the continuity and sustainability of compliance in all workplaces. Small, medium, and large establishments under the sector's hazardous work, employing children, construction projects, Philippine registered ships in domestic shipping, fishing vessels, contracting or subcontracting arrangements, subject of SENA referral, anonymous complaint, and request for inspection, and other establishments as may be determined by the Secretary of Labor and Employment are all covered in the Labor Inspection Program. The Technical and Advisory Visit, or the TAV program, aims to build the capacity of community-based micro-establishments towards sustainable compliance with labor standards. It seeks to facilitate easier access to government programs and services instrumental to addressing their compliance gaps, as well as to provide livelihood assistance and productivity training to further capacitate micro-establishments in improving their business operations. There are various training modules offered in TAV, namely General Labor Standards, Occupational Safety and Health Standards, Child and Family Welfare, Productivity Toolbox, and Visit Checklist and Action Plan. The Technical Safety Inspection is the inspection for the purpose of safety determination of boilers, pressure vessels, internal combustion engines, electrical installations, elevators, hoisting equipments, and other mechanical equipments. The Bureau is also responsible for the development of policies and programs. The Bureau takes the lead in the formulation and assurance of timely and relevant policies, guidelines, and advisories relating to general labor standards, occupational safety and health standards, and other social legislations that promote the rights at work, improve working conditions, and guide employers and workers in the private sector. There are other various programs that are handled by the Bureau of Working Conditions, Construction Safety and Health Program, Review and Evaluation of Technical Plans, Processing of Certificate of Appearance of PMEs and PEEs, Work Alert Reporting, Processing of Certificate of No Pending Case, Disposition of Labor Standard Appealed Cases, General Labor Standards and Occupational Safety and Health Queries and Requests for Inspection-related data, Medical Services or Assistance to DOLE personnel. And the BWC is also a member of various committees like NCACL, IACAT, LI Capacity Building Committee, Safety and Health Committee, Mental Health Program, and many more. The Bureau envisions well-guided employers and workers committed to a safe, healthful, and productive work environment, adaptive to industry trends and developments, and equitably enjoying the gains of joint endeavors.
Okay, yan po ang ating mga programa at serbisyo sa DOLE Bureau of Working Conditions. And so at this point, we will now proceed to the discussion of today's topic, No OSH, Roles of OSH Personnel and Importance of Facilities. May I introduce our speaker? She is a registered nurse and a Labor and Employment Officer 3 of the Bureau's Program Management and Technical Support Services Division. Everyone, please welcome Nurse Sarah K. Juan. Over to you, Nurse Sarah.
Salamat, Lisa. Miss Eunice Mingil. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat, no? Let me just share my screen first before we start. So, ayan. Magandang hapon ulit, no, sa ating lahat, and happy Feast of Ramadan po sa ating mga kapatid na Muslim na nagse-celebrate po ng Eid al-Fitr. So for today's afternoon session, we will be discussing, no, yung roles of OSH personnel and importance of facilities. So karamihan kasi sa atin, kahit matagal na po ang OSH, ay still nangangapa pa rin po kung ano ba ang mga facilities na kailangan, sino-sino ba yung mga OSH personnel na dapat nating puntahan, or alamin sino-sino ba yung mga OSH personnel na dapat nating lapitan kapag may mga times ng emergencies. So, ayan. Confused pa rin ang mga tao, no? May mga tao pa rin hindi nakakaalam kung ano ang OSH, sino yung mga OSH committee, ano yung mga functions at mga kailangan nilang gawin kapag kung sakali naman sila ay mga designated OSH personnel. So this afternoon, we will share with you kung ano yung mga important roles po ng ating mga OSH personnel and ano-ano yung mga dapat nilang i-check, i-monitor at ibigay sa mga workers natin sa loob ng lugar pagawa. So ang first objectives natin ay hindi lamang for the OSH personnel itself, but of course, para ma-acquaint din, no, yung mga workers in the establishment kung sino ang OSH personnel at ano-ano ang mga facilities na dapat nilang na-enjoy at dapat din binibigay ng ating mga management. Second objective is for our OSH personnel to really identify and embrace their roles kung ano yung mga functions na dapat nilang ginagampanan sa isang workplace. And kapag alam na po ng workers at ng mga OSH personnel yung kanilang mga assignments or yung kanilang mga roles in the workplace, ay makakapag-implement sila eventually ng programs na makakapag-maintain ng safe and healthful work environment. So before we start po yung mga roles ng ating OSH personnel and yung facilities, bigyan lang namin kayo ng mga legal basis, no, nung kung saan ba hinugot yung mga identified people na to or key players na ito. So doon sa 1987 Constitution, no, sinasabi na under Article 2 Declaration of Policy, Section 18, na ang sinasabi ay the state affirms labor as primary social economic force. So it shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare. So yan, isa ng mabigat na katungkulan na ng Estado, and ano na siya, parang na-pass on na, no, sa mga OSH personnel. Under Book 4 naman po of the Labor Code of the Philippines as amended, sinasabi naman dito na dapat daw magkaroon ng medical and dental services. Ang sinasabing medical services po dito ay yung first aid treatment, yung emergency medical services, yung mga health programs, at kung sakasakali po, kailanganin natin magkaroon ng Memorandum of Agreement with a nearby hospital. For occupational safety and health standards naman po, meron tayong mga rules dyan na nagsasabi na nagre-require ng mga OSH committee, OSH personnel, safety and health program, safety officers. And dito sa recent lang na 2018 na batas, sinasabi rin dito under Chapter 4 ng Republic Act number 11058 na dapat meron pong Safety and Health Committee, safety officer, and OH personnel na nangangalaga sa company that implements the safety and health program. And the same goes with the Department Order number 198. Ito po yung IRR ng RA 11058 na nagsasabi rin po na kailangan po natin ng mga committee na ito, ng mga personnel na ito, upang maging mas makabuluhan at ma-implement yung mga safety and health program sa isang company. So OSH personnel, i-define lang po muna natin kung sino-sino sila. So ang OSH personnel ay members po, no, ng OSH committee. And OSH committee refers to a body created within the workplace tasked with authority to plan, develop, and implement OSH policies and programs, monitor and evaluate the OSH program, and inspect and investigate all aspects of the work pertaining to the safety and health of workers. So dito pa lang po, no, makikita na natin kung ano talaga yung functions na dapat na ginagawa ng ating mga OSH personnel. Pero may sinabi sa definition ng RA at ng DO 198 na sinasabi ang safety officer po daw ay dapat mag-ensure ng health program na may implement yung health program and duly enforced po ito sa covered workplaces. Later on po, makikita po natin yung mga functions ng safety officer. Pagdating naman po sa mga OSH personnel, ang sinasabi po nating OSH personnel dito ay OH personnel dito ay yung first aider, nurses, OH nurses, occupational health nurses, and occupational physician. So, itong mga tao na ito, assume natin no, na sila ay nag-undergo ng proper training. Ibig sabihin, ang safety officer ay nakapag-undergo ng complete training sa mga accredited training organizations, either basic occupational safety and health siya or construction occupational safety and health training siya kung sa construction. Okay. Pagdating naman po sa mga nurses, iba po kasi ang training ng nurses. Ito po ay kinakandak po ng ating Occupational Health Nurses Association of the Philippines. Bosch for Nurses naman ito na merong mga kaukulang training pagdating sa on how to handle yung mga medical aspects po, no, on how to promote yung mga pagdating sa health ng workers. So yun yung nagpo-focus doon. And same goes with the physician po, no, yung mga occupational safety and health training for physicians po. Syempre, meron po tayong nire-recognize dyan ng mga training offices or training organizations na nagsasabi na sila ay authorized to practice no, occupational health and safety sa workplace. So, yun. Sa first aid training, sa first aiders naman, no, kasama yan sa OH, before I forget, sila po ay nag-undergo ng first aid training sa authorized or recognized ng DOLE. So, ang ating pwedeng maging reference po dyan ay yung Department Order 235 and the recently published po no, or issued na DO 244. So, yun po yung mga pwede nating tingnan ng mga training organizations kapag kung sakaling tayo ay mag-undergo ng training for first aiders. So ito na yung sinasabi natin na no, na functions. Medyo madami, pero kung titingnan natin, parang pare-pareho sila ng ginagawa. Iba-iba lang kung paano nila ito i-implement. So, OSH personnel, as mentioned po dun sa OSH committee, ay dapat mag-develop ng safety and health program. Conduct hazard identification, risk assessment and control. And once po nakakandak po sila ng HIRAC at nakadevelop po sila ng safety and health program, they have to implement, evaluate, and improve. So, every OSH personnel or key players of this committee has their own task. So, malaki ang task po no, ng ating safety officer kasi unang-una, siya po yung magkakandak ng orientation sa lahat ng empleyado. No? Sa tulong rin po ng mga OSH committee. Siya rin po ang inatasan na mag-ensure ng implementation pagdating sa safety and health program. Imo-monitor yung operations no? Sa lahat po dahil kasi doon sa HIRAC pa lang nakita na po kung ano yung mga hazardous or high-risk processes, dangerous processes or mga kung sakali naman merong mga high probability na ma-aksidente or magkasakit. So doon kailangan i-monitor yon at doon ma-check natin no, kung effective ba yung safety and health program. If not, kailangan i-improve or i-re-evaluate at kailangan mag-revise. So kung sakali naman po na merong aksidente, no, dapat rin na nagre-report si safety officer sa DOLE. Ang reporting nito, kung hindi naman po fatal, meron tayong mga report forms no, na sinasubmit every 30th of the month. Kapag fatal or disabling injury ang cause ng accident, Tama ba? Yung disabling injury yung naging result ng aksidente, dapat within 24 hours ay nakapag-report tayo sa DOLE. Okay. So sinasabi rin na pwede rin na po na mag-recommend ng work stoppage si safety officer once na makita po na talagang merong imminent danger situation. Okay? Pero once po na meron po tayong dineclare na ganun, kailangan rin pong i-report ito. So, close coordinator po, ano? Coordinator po si safety officer sa DOLE. Yun yung parang nakikita natin dyan, no? Dahil siya yung nagre-report, nakikipag-usap sa DOLE pag may mga instances of accident. And of course, kapag merong mga visits si labor inspectors, so siya rin po dapat ay nag-a-assist, no, at nagbibigay ng mga reports or yung mga hinihingi ng labor inspectors natin pagdating sa occupational safety and health. And again, kung sakali naman po na merong aksidente, no, sa isang establishment, ay magkakandak po siya ng separate investigation niya, initial investigation, para ma-report niya sa DOLE. Okay, so doon pa lang, coordination, reporting, orientation, conduct monitoring, and yung mga report submission, isa siya sa mga malalaking task po or mabigat na task ni safety officer. Pagdating naman po sa first aider, of course, sila po yung mga first responders, no? Pag merong mga na-report na aksidente sa isang establishment. Kunyari, may mga nahilo, o kaya may mga nasugatan, may mga natumba. Immediately, yan po ang unang matitrigger dapat ng isang establishment sa OSH committee. So sila po dapat yung mag-check po ng condition ng ating pasyente kapag meron pong code na trigger po sa isang establishment. Pagdating naman po sa occupational health nurses, ito po ay magdedepende kung sa number po ng workers and sa risk classification po ng isang establishment. Kasi hindi naman po lahat, no, ng establishment ay nangangailangan agad ng OH nurse at OH physician. Depende rin po sa risk classification po yung mga manpower complement or human resource complement po na mare-require po ng ganitong mga services, OH physicians and OH nurses. So kung sakali po ang ating establishment ay may requirement for this personnel, ito po yung mga karaniwan na ginagawa nila. So initially, dahil may doktor tayo at may mga nurses, sila po yung mga nag-a-assist po or nag-cater po ng mga medical consultation and referral. Kung ang nurse lang po ay requirement, siya po ay pwedeng mag-request for referral, no? Pwede po siyang mag-refer sa mga doktor na pwedeng pag-check upan ng ating empleyado. Siya rin naman po ang nag-a-assist po, no? Kung sakaling na aksidente yung ating mga workers, sila yung initially, siya yung mag-a-assist sa hospital, tapos kung may mga rehabilitation, kung sakaling may kailangan na gampanan yung management, no? So isa siya sa mga possible na pwedeng hingan ng help. Okay? So isa rin po ang ating mga nurses, OH nurses, na nagbibigay ng contributor po sila, no, sa mga safety and health program or wellness activities sa isang company. So kasama rin po ng OH physician yung pag-accomplish ng annual medical reports. And syempre sa mga consultation na ito, dapat na nire-record ng ating mga nurses yung mga consultation. And sa pag-record na ito, makikita natin yung trend ng pagkakasakit or yung mga aksidente na meron ng isang company. So with this, na makakakuha tayo ng enough data, no, para makapag-revise or makapag-improve ng programa. And conduct of medical surveillance ay isang malaking bagay para kung sakali po, no, nakakailanganin natin ng mga pondo or additional activities or programs that require cost So mas mabilis natin ma-justify natin sa management. And ang pinaka-primary ang pinaka-primary na function talaga ng ating mga OH personnel is to provide education po, health education, lalo na kung sakaling nakikita po no sa mga consultation, marami pong high blood, marami pong merong mga musculoskeletal diseases, or may mga nare-report po na frequent headache or respiratory problems, no? So dun pa lang po dapat kumuha tayo no ng mga information that can help our employees no to get well and prevent these diseases from recurring. So pagdating naman po sa OH physicians, no, as mentioned, sila po talaga dapat yung accomplish ng AMR or yung annual medical report. However, hindi nga po lahat ng company ay may requirement for a physician. So sino kaya ang susunod na dapat mag-accomplish? Either si nurse, si first aider, si safety officer, or yung HR kung hindi talaga nire-require yung doctor and nurses sa isang establishment. Okay? So, well. So, sinabi natin yung reports kanina, no? So, ito yung mga reports naman na kailangan na isasubmit po ng ating mga OSH personnel. So, yung work accident illness report, ito po dapat ay sinasubmit ni safety officer every 30th of the month. Annual exposure data report naman po, ito ay every year. Ang pinaka-last day po natin nito is March 31st of the following year. Okay? Yung report of safety organizations naman po at yung minutes of the meeting, ito po ay dapat nasisend po no na sa-submit sa DOLE, either manual submission or online, depende po sa mga field office na nagre-receive po ng mga reports, ay every quarter po. No? Currently, ito po yung mga requirements na hinihingi as to the reports na kailangan masubmit sa DOLE. So annual medical report, as mentioned, dapat March 31st po yung last day of the following year, following the reference period po. So ito yon. So dun sa requirement, no, sinabi natin kanina, depende sa manpower or number of workers, total number of workers, yung requirement ng isang establishment for a nurse at physician. Definitely, ang ating safety officer ay number 1 requirement sa lahat ng establishment. First aider as well, kasi kailangan, no, dito pa lang sa matrix, makikita po natin, 1 to 9 pa lang po, no, nangangailangan na agad ng safety, ng first aider. Sa safety officer naman din po, ganun din. So magdedepende lang po kung low risk, medium risk, at high risk, at sa requirement kung SO1, SO2, or SO3, yung mga kailangan natin i-provide. Pagdating naman po sa ating facilities for medical, no? Nakikita po natin dito, meron ding mga first aid treatment room, number of beds or hospital beds. So magdedepende pa rin po yan sa result ng risk classification. Okay. Sa ngayon po, ang department po ay nagre-revise po ng ating Department Order 198. So mababago pa po ito. Kaya sa mga susunod na buwan po, mag-ano lang po kayo sa amin, mag-tune in lang kayo palagi sa amin para makita po natin yung magiging bagong mukha po, no, ng requirement ng OSH personnel. Pero as of this time, ito po yung mga requirements ng ating OSH personnel as to risk classification and number of workers. So yun, nabanggit na natin yung mga facilities, no, na kanina na requirements, so magdedepende pa rin sa number of workers, and risk classification. So sa general facilities po, no, sinasabi na ito ay pwedeng ma-access ng lahat. Ito yung mga restroom, yung availability of free drinking water, yung sanitary or washing area, yung mga ramps and rails po para sa ating persons with physically, yung mga employees with disability or physically challenged po. Doon sa mga, I'm so sorry. Doon sa mga areas po na nangangailangan ng sleeping quarters, no, or accommodation, dapat maayos rin po ito. Minomonitor ng ating mga OH personnel, ng ating mga safety officer kung malinis, no. Yung lactation station, lactation area. So ito po yung mga general services na dapat meron ng isang establishment. Kapag dating naman po sa medical services, sinasabi po na dapat meron tayong mga treatment room. Yung treatment room na po na ito ay dapat different from our lactation. Meron po kasing mga nagtatanong na pwede bang magkasama sila, no? Unang-una, ang lactation station ay yung nursing mom ay magbibigay ng pagkain sa kanyang newborn baby, no? So dapat malinis. Ang ating treatment room po kasi ay doon dinadala yung mga may sakit na sugatan. So karamihan po doon ay madudumi po yung mga sources po na may mga germs, bacteria, that's what I'm pointing to, no, dun sa mga sinasabi nating madudumi na mga particles. So hindi po dapat magsama ang lactation station at treatment room. So marami po kasing tanong na ganon. Otherwise, kung ang ating mga treatment room ay may separate na room po for washing para sa ating lactation area, mas siguro mapapayagan natin yon. Basta as long as hindi po magkakasama po, no, yung mga gamit ng mga for treatment and yung gamit ng lactation station or lactation area. So bukod po doon sa treatment room, dapat meron yung mga medical supplies, no? Yung medical supplies, yung mga gamot, yung mga pang first aid, no? Merong mga specific pahingahan yung ating mga pasyente. Meron ding area for consultation. So this medical services po provides dapat privacy and confidentiality na para sa mga nagko-consult sa kanila, no? Hindi lang po basta-basta services yung bibigay natin, but of course, kailangan meron pong yung privacy po nila. Hindi dapat lalabas po sa mga ibang po employees, yung mga consultation, yung mga documents. So, yun po yung mga kailangan nating i-ensure sa ating mga services pagdating sa medical, na hindi dapat mag-leak yung mga information or yung mga sensitive information na kinoconsult po sa atin. Right? So ano daw po ba yung mga benefits, no, ng facilities? So this promotes health and wellness in the workplace and comfort and convenience or ease of access to PWDs, prevent possible illnesses, increase productivity, and access to immediate primary care or first aid. So, yung mga facilities daw po na ito ay hindi lang kasi kailangan na magtrabaho lang po ang lahat ng mga employees, no? So, dapat meron silang lugar kung saan sila pwedeng magpahinga, lugar kung saan sila pwedeng kumuha ng tubig, na malinis na tubig, kung saan pwede po silang kumuha ng mga consultation or makipag-usap man lang, no? Kung sakali meron silang nararamdaman na hindi maganda, or physically or mentally, meron silang makakausap, may mga services na ganun. And this promotes kasi yung parang yung mabuboost yung confidence nila, na mag-feel nila, no, na importante sila sa company, and with this positive impact po sa kanila, yun nga, magkakaroon ng increase ng productivity. Tapos kung sakaling meron pong mga immediate care na kailangan gawin sa kanila, na hindi naman po kailangan agad-agad pumunta ng hospital, ma-remedy agad within the workplace, ay yun, isang malaking bagay yun para makaiwas sa further gastos kasi meron na tayong available na um, medical supplies dyan, immediate first aid kasi meron tayong trained first aider, meron tayong mga health nurses that can provide education, meron tayong doctors that could provide immediate treatment as well, yung mapagbibigay agad ng mga gamot and yung mga magre-read po no, ng mga laboratories na pina-request sa kanila. So, medyo mabilis lang tayo today, no? So, in summary, yung ating OSH personnel should have in itself, yung sa kanila, meron silang core value of health and safety. So, dapat pinapractice nila yon, sinasapuso, and yun nga, hindi lang kasi madaling gawin yung OSH eh. So, dapat meron yung collaborative effort between the management, the workers, and the OSH personnel. And they should be by example. So, hindi lahat naman kasi ng kunyari, for example na lang, no? Meron tayong mga facilities, meron tayong mga programa na minsan mahirap gawin within ourselves, no? So, for example, yan yung mga smoking, no? So, meron pa rin at meron na mga OSH personnel na nagsisigarilyo, no? Pero we promote, parang yun, ironic lang, nagpo-promote tayo ng health and wellness and yet tayo ay yun, hindi tayo nagpo-follow sa health and wellness advocacy. So may mga ganon. So we should lead by example, implement a reporting system. So ito po ay importante kasi isa siya sa mag-gauge no kung gaano ka-healthy ang ating workplace, no? Kung makikita po natin sa reports na maraming nagkakasakit, maraming na-aksidente, so ito yung wake-up call natin na siguro kailangan natin magbago ng safety and health program, no? Siguro kailangan natin mag-provide ng training, orientation sa mga empleyado as well as with the OSH personnel. And siguro makita rin po natin sa mga reports na ito na baka kulang tayo sa inspection. So we have to conduct inspection. At doon sa inspection na yan, makakakita tayo ng mga hazards, no? And the ideas on how to control it. Tapos, syempre sa mga processes na yan, yung ating safety officer, yung ating OH personnel, first aider, and nurses and doctors, sila po sana yung magkakaroon ng collaborative efforts no to address the emergencies and implement hazard controls. Tapos, syempre, sila rin po yung magja-justify, no? Magre-recommend sa ating mga management kasi unang-una sila yung mga nakakakita no ng mga problema, ng mga aksidente, ng mga improvements at saka yung mga bagay na kakailanganin talaga ng establishment. Okay, tapos dapat open to change kasi hindi lahat ng ano no ng isang process ay magfi-fit sa lahat hindi lahat ng controls ay magfi-fit sa lahat ng proseso. So kailangan work in a cycle, accept changes po sa mga bagay na hindi nag-work sa safety and health program. And make improvements of the program. So again, hindi lang po kasi naman magsistay ang isang work process as it is. Hindi siya kasi merong mga changes or kung ano nga sa biological law, may nag-mutate na processes parang ganun or merong mga circumventions na nangyayari that causes accident, no? So kailangan magkaroon ng improvement. So in conclusion po, no, all OSH personnel play a significant role in the workplace. OSH in the workplace is always a continuing cycle of improvement, and to measure an effective and efficient OSH program, key players must document all activities, reports, accidents, and medical surveillance and monitoring ng facilities. And hindi lang naman po kasi si OSH personnel, no? Yung safety officer, yung occupational health personnel natin, yung first aider, nurses and physician ang merong responsible, no, sa pagkakaroon ng health and safe na workplace. Kasi lahat po naman ng ating empleyado, no, ay kasama rin po sa pag-implement ng OSH program na ito. So, everyone is responsible for their safety. So, lahat po ng ating binanggit, no, na task ng ating OSH personnel, mag-uumpisa po yan sa planning, no? Pagkatapos nating maplano yan, i-enact na natin yan. So, once na in-implement na natin yan or we do the planned activity, kailangan natin i-evaluate or i-check po natin lahat ng mga significant changes, no? Yung kung meron bang naging effective ba yung naging programa, maayos ba yung mga inventory, yung mga inspection, yung mga monitoring natin. And once po na na-check natin yun, na-evaluate and na-verify, no, na effective naman, or if not, kailangan po natin gumawa ng action to revise po, no, or to improve yung ating mga ginagawa as a person na merong significant role sa workplace. So with that po, maraming salamat po. Hopefully, meron po tayo natutunan sa session na ito. Over to you, Ms. Eunice.
Okay, thank you very much, Nurse Sarah, for a meaningful and detailed discussion on the importance of OSH personnel and OSH facilities. So not only about OSH personnel and facilities, no, even about other OSH programs and standards ay nabanggit sa discussion ni Nurse Sarah. And we note that everyone is responsible for their safety. So now at this juncture, we are going to start answering questions submitted by our viewers. Let us flash the questions on screen. Okay, first question. First question is, can a safety officer also act as a first aider?
Thank you po. For the first question, yan, medyo confusing yan. Madalas may tanong sa atin yan sa office eh. So, ang answer is yes and no. So, yes kasi kung sakali ang safety officer ay merong low-risk establishment, pwede na rin po siyang maging first aider, provided na micro to small scale lang po yung establishments nila, characterized by low-risk profile. Kung sakali naman po na high risk, no, yung ating establishment, hindi po recommended na pareho ang first aider at ang ating safety officer. Kasi kailangan po talaga na mag-function separately ang dalawang personnel na ito.
So it depends on the type of hazard. Thank you, Ma'am
Yes.
Sarah. So next question is, what is the role of an HR in the company's OSH program?
So nabanggit natin kanina, no, na nurse and doctors lang yung na-identify and first aider. So kasi sa ngayon, no, meron tayong mental health. So HR provides this kind of services, no, yung mga mental health na services, kasi unang-una sila yung unang humaharap sa empleyado. And since OH or occupational health and safety is a multidisciplinary approach, so lahat po ng aspekto ng life or ng aspects ng life ay natatouch po ng OSH. So whether physical, mental, emotional, and so forth. So HR provides dapat yung parang kung sakali merong mga mental issues, no, or mental health issues yung ating empleyado, sila po sana yung kasama, no, ng OSH personnel natin na mag-address po ng mga programa na ganyan. And yun, sila po dapat rin yung mangunguna or mag-advocate po ng mental health sa workplace.
Ayan. So yan naman ang mandate ng HR no with respect to OSH to create and oversee policies yan, dealing with regulatory compliance and even conduct of trainings. Okay, so next question. With regard to welfare facilities and is a common restroom allowed for less than 10 employees, office setting workplace?
Okay, so equivalencies are permissible under two primary conditions. First, the standards objectives must be achieved. And secondly, the health and safety of workers must not be compromised. So, kung sakali po no, na nakikita naman na konti lang yung tao, less than 10 employees, siguro it may be allowed provided na hindi nagkakaroon ng hintayan talaga no ng matagal na hintayan ng paggamit no ng mga CRs. So in question diyan yung how adequate is adequate no for as long as hindi nagkakaroon ng kompromiso sa paggamit ng facility na ito ay siguro achievable naman yung equivalency na ito.
Okay. So next
Please.
question. Bakit kailangang magkakaiba ang bilang ng OSH personnel at kung anong klaseng OSH personnel sa bawat kumpanya?
Bakit kailangan magkaroon ng So, kasi nakita kasi natin no before ang classification lang ng hazards ay non-hazardous at hazardous. So dahil nga na-change na yung trend ng work no, marami nang naging pagbabago sa pagtatrabaho, sa processes ng pagtatrabaho. So marami rin na yung risk no, kasi nakafocus tayo bukod sa number of workers, nakafocus na tayo ngayon sa risk classification. So kung high risk, medium risk, yun, kailangan talaga ng maraming personnel to watch over or to man po or to monitor the activity. So yun yung pinaka yung pinaka reason bakit nagkakaroon ng pagkakaiba ng OSH personnel. Yun nga, kung low risk ka at less than 10 ka at nakita mo na hindi naman ganun ka-prevalent yung mga disgrasya at kung sakaling magkakaroon man, hindi ganun kadalas at hindi ganun kagrabe. So, yun, magkakaroon ng differences po ng mga requirements. So, kung nakikita po ng ating establishment na talagang marami pong risk and hazards identified sa ating establishment and marami pong tao na dapat i-monitor, yun po yung basihan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng pagkakaiba ng OSH personnel requirements sa isang establishment.
So it depends then on the number of workers and risk classification. And
Yes.
also we refer on the matrix ng OSH personnel requirements for the guidance. Next question. Paano po gagampanan ng OSH personnel ang kanilang roles kung may work from home setup po ang aming company?
So dahil dyan sa naging reason dahil sa pandemic na bakit nagkaroon tayo ng work from home and yun parang feeling natin ang hirap i-address yung activity or yung mga functions ng OSH personnel pagdating sa OSH activities. So sinasabi natin dito na ang OSH personnel may conduct orientation, may conduct teleconsult virtually. So, hindi lang naman po nasisettle sa on-site yung ating mga activities pagdating sa functions and roles ng occupational safety and health ng ating mga safety officer, first aider, nurses, and doctors. Pero meron tayong iba ng platform para mabigay natin yung service, preventive, promotive, and education na mabibigay natin sa ating mga employees. So, virtually, we can provide services or services to our workers na nag-work from home.
All right. So even work from home, we really consider the safety and health of the workers. And next question. In a hospital setup wherein there are many nurses and doctors, do we still need to designate a first aider, etc.?
Okay. So nga naman, no, bakit nga ba kakailanganin pa ng OSH personnel sa ano, no, sa ospital kasi ospital na nga siya. So first aider, we recognize naman po, no, na talagang andyan na lahat sa ospital. However, kailangan pa rin po ng occupational safety and health personnel po sa ospital kasi sila po naman yung mga ngalaga sa mga empleyado ng ospital, no? Nawawala kasi yung idea natin na dahil hospital, ang kinikater lang po natin ay mga pasyente. So there would come a time na ang ating mga empleyado sa ospital ay mga kailangan din, no, ng first aid. So we have to identify these persons who will render this first aid, no? Oo, alam natin na lahat po ay may alam sa first aiding, sa treatment, kasi treatment and healthcare facility siya. Pero yung tutukoy po kung sino yung initial na mag-cater po ng service as an occupational safety and health person sa isang establishment, yun po dapat talaga yung ma-establish natin at ma-identify even in the hospital setup.
Okay. Okay po, next question. Good afternoon. For OH personnel and OH services po, is provision of HMO enough for medium risk establishments?
Okay. So again po, no, sinabi natin kanina, for every establishment, for all covered workplaces, kailangan po meron tayong OSH committee and OH personnel. Ang pagkakaroon po kasi ng HMO is an additional benefit, no? Kagandahan po nito na once na nagkasakit tayo, meron po tayo agad mape-present or meron po agad tayong mapupuntahan na ospital. However, ating OH personnel po kasi at ang function natin bilang OSH committee at OSH personnel is to prevent illness, prevent accident. So sa HMO kasi po hindi pa po siya maa-avail. So maa-avail mo lang ang HMO kapag nagkasakit ka na at kapag na-aksidente ka na. So yun po yung difference between OH requirement and the HMO requirement.
Ayun, parang sa question din kanina, no, yung difference ng roles ng doctors, nurses sa kinakailangan ng mga OSH personnel. Dito naman meron din silang difference. Okay, next question. Is a smoking area an example of a welfare facility?
Ayan, yan yung banggit natin kanina, no? So, kasi sa totoong buhay, meron pa rin tayong designated smoking area, no? So, ito ay masasabi ko, hindi siya welfare facility kasi we have this department order, no, na nagsasabi na smoke-free, drug-free workplace. So, maganda po sana na yun nga, we lead by example. So, smoking area is really not an example of a welfare facility. But, syempre, merong mga needs po, no, yung ating mga empleyado na pwede kasing maging crucial din pag bigla tayong nagtanggal ng mga ganitong klaseng area na possible din na maka-affect din sa kanilang physical and mental state. So, siguro, if ever na magkakaroon tayo ng ganito, hindi natin siya ipopromote, no? Na merong tayong smoking area dyan. Pero, kailangan na lang siguro natin na unti-unti i-educate yung ating mga empleyado na we have to really abide po, no? Or live healthy pagdating sa mga ganitong mga activities. So, yun, hindi siya welfare facility pero we have to cater the needs din ng ibang employees. So,
okay. So definitely hindi po siya welfare facility ang ating smoking area. Kundi it's just an accommodation to cater to specific needs or requests. Okay, next question. Ilan po dapat ang SO sa isang building pero 2 companies?
Sa bawat workplace kasi, no, dapat merong tag-isa, no? For every workplace, for every registered establishment, dapat meron pong safety officer, no? Depende. Tapos kung sakasakali po, pwede naman po silang maging member ng ng committee, no? Pero ang sinasabi po sa batas, for every workplace, dapat meron isang safety officer.
Ayun. Okay po, next question. If ever may OH nurse na po ba sa certain establishment in 15 personnel, need pa rin po ba kumuha ng first aider or need po ba mag-train ng OH nurse ng SFAT for the requirement?
Medyo ano siya, no? Kasi nurse na nga siya, supposedly alam niya na kung paano mag-conduct ng first aid. Ngayon kasi sa current na batas, it is a requirement na meron pa rin pong nurse and meron pa rin first aider. So, pero again, the Department Order 198 is currently undergoing review. So, we have to follow muna yung requirement na meron tayo. And sa susunod na mga issuances, siguro ma-address na ng mas klaro itong requirement na ito.
Okay po. So next question. What is the importance of OSH reports?
Nabanggit na natin kanina rin na OSH reports is very essential po pagdating sa ating review ng mga programa. Unang-una, ang importance nito is makakakuha tayo ng benchmark or yung makikita natin yung trend ng activity ng workplace. So kung marami pong nag-aaksidente, kailangan gumawa ng mga revision. Kung marami pong nagkakasakit, siguro kailangan gumawa ng improved health programs, no? So these reports provides evidence-based data that could bring that could move management, no, to further provide parang support sa posting, sa mga programa, at saka ito rin yung magsasabi na gaano ka-healthy, no? Gaano ka-productive and gaano ka-safe yung ating establishment or workplace. So ito ay mahalaga kasi ito yung magbibigay sa atin ng evidence-based data pagdating sa mga programang ilalatag natin sa management.
Okay, yan po. Data are very important po talaga and this will serve as baseline materials or information in studies, yan, crafting and development of policies and programs. Next question. Paano po ang mga requirements for hybrid work setup? 50% of total workforce ang nasa office. Do we still follow the requirements for facilities and personnel?
So as a general rule concerning the number of occupational safety and health personnel, we adhere to the totality rule, no? Which encompasses all workers, both on-site and those working from home. Pero pagdating po sa first aider, kung ilan po ang working on-site, yun po yung magiging requirement ng first aider. So as for the facilities naman po, open to limiting it to the requirements specified for on-site workers if necessary. So kung ano po yung mga facilities available, no, depending on the number of workers working on-site. So dun siguro magkakaroon po ng difference kung ano yung mga requirement for the facilities. Pero as for the general facilities, definitely dapat meron.
Okay po. Next question. For hybrid companies that are low risk of 200 plus employees, is it required to hire an OHP?
Yes po. Kasi based on the matrix pa rin, no, requirement siya. And since meron na nga po tayong mga hybrid setup, meron naman din po tayong mga teleconsult na activity na processes when it comes to consultation. So, kailangan pa rin po ng occupational health practitioner po and personnel.
Okay. So, next question po. Is it required to have a full-time nurse in a company with less than 200 employees per shift, but has 200 plus visitors in the company premises in a single day? Thank you.
Yes po. So, ang ano naman kasi natin dyan, ang premise naman kasi po natin dyan ay to cater for the employees, no? However, meron din naman pong mga policy dapat ang company, kung sakaling marami pong visitors, dapat meron din po silang mga nakaabang, no? Na process or protocols if ever meron pong mga um, emergency situation pagdating sa mga ganyan. But again, we have to provide full-time nurse in the company kasi, again, yun po, meron pong mga services na kailangan i-render na preventive and promotive in nature na ma-avail, na dapat ma-avail and dapat mabigyan ng service yung mga employees na ito.
Okay. So para siyang social responsibility, not
Mm.
only on our within our company sa ating mga empleyado, kundi pati na rin sa mga bisita or mga pumupunta sa ating kumpanya. Okay,
Kasi
next question po.
negosyo eh.
Okay. Mhm.
Ito.
Next question is, if we have a total of 150 employees and 50 in each shift, first, second, third, is the company still need of a nurse?
Requirement pa rin siya kasi lalo na kung critical din po yung work or kung hindi man critical, kasi nag-fall naman siya under the requirement ng number of workers, no? So, kailangan pa rin na meron need of a nurse. Siguro, ang masasuggest lang po siguro namin is yung higher remuneration na lang para makakuha pa rin ng mga nurses po, no, na mag-stay sa company. So, yun lang na ano.
Okay. Next question po. Absolute po ba ang requirements of physician or nurse? Wala po bang exceptions or ibang option? Bihira kasi makahire ng physician or nurse na mag full-time sa isang company since karamihan sa hospitals po ang gusto nila na work.
Oo, yan actually yan yung talagang mahirap na yung mga physicians and nurses. Based dun sa matrix natin, no, kailangan pa rin na magkaroon ng physician or nurses. Kasi, yun nga, lalo na sa mga high risk and huge volume po ng employee or large number of employees sa isang establishment. Kasi, initially, yun nga ang sinasabi natin, meron sana dapat unang makakita ng problema within the company pagdating sa health. And pag nakita yon outright, ma-address din agad sana yung problem and ma-promote din yung necessary education and information ng company to avoid recurrence of this sickness or illness or accidents na pwedeng makuha ng ating mga empleyado. So, yun kasing na gusto nila sa hospital, hindi na natin hindi natin maaalis yun kasi kaya nga sila nag-doctor or nurse is to work in a hospital. However, yun nga, there is still a requirement po. Siguro, na lang, dagdagan ng benefits, ganyan, para ma-entice sila to apply, ganyan. So, depende na lang siguro sa strategy or advertising, marketing strategies po ng company.
Okay. So next question po. Number of doctors sa isang company po na high risk, minsan po ay 2 physician ang need or minsan 8 hours every day. Sa hirap po humanap ng doctor ngayon na mag-duty, ano po yung pwede na ma-countermeasure kung walang makuha na doctor since sa hospital nagkukulang na din po ng mga doctors?
So, siguro po maganda na mag-hire po kahit ng permanent or full-time doctor sa ganitong klaseng setup kung nangangailangan po ng 2 physician. So, siguro isang full-time doctor na lang po. Tapos, siguro kailangan check po, no, yung mga processes, no, kung paano ba makikiter po ng ating doctor yung ating mga employees. So, doon kasi sa kakulangan ng mga doctors, ma'am, wala na tayong control doon and yung preference po ng pag-a-apply ng mga doctors and nurses sa company at versus sa pag-a-apply sa hospital ay hindi na rin po natin kasi kontrolado. Siguro yun nga, maganda siguro kung we can provide parang more benefits or kung ano man po yung pwede nating i-offer sa kanila to stay po at saka to have the interest to apply sa inyong company. So yun na lang po siguro.
Opo, para rin siya yung sa previous question po.
Yes, oo.
Okay. Sige po, next question. May humabol pa po sa ating Facebook questions. Next is, paano yung mga tiga DepEd halos wala silang lactation room?
Okay. So kasi si DOLE ay only caters for the private sector. So for the whole government po, ang manage po sa government agencies ay ang CSC. So siguro maganda po na refer po sila or mag-consult po sila directly po sa Civil Service Commission kung ano po yung mga guidelines pagdating sa OSH in the government. So ano yung mga requirements po para masundan din po ng DepEd yung mga requirements po pagdating sa occupational safety and health in the public sector.
Ayun. So ito naman po ay public sector. So under po tayo
Yes.
ng Civil Service Commission.
Yes.
Okay, next question po. Okay, so that would be all for the questions. Okay,
Dami.
last na po yan, ano?
Oo.
Okay, yan na po ang huling questions. So thank you very much to our presenter, Nurse Sarah, at salamat din po sa lahat ng nag-submit ng questions. Kung mayroon po kaming hindi nasagot during our discussions, ang aming social media team ay patuloy na sasagutin ang inyong inquiries. Maaari rin pong balikan itong ating webinar at panoorin muli sa Save Live videos sa BWC Facebook page. And next week, April 17, the Bureau of Working Conditions will be conducting the Webinar Wednesdays, Episode 10, with the topic Leave Benefits. This is a guide to employers and employees in understanding the statutory leave benefits. That is 2 p.m. next Wednesday, live here on our Facebook page. So, sa mga nagko-comment po sa Facebook, balik lang po tayo dito next Wednesday. And so that concludes our webinar for today. If you have further questions, you may send us an email at ask@bwc.dole.gov.ph, or you may call the DOLE hotline 1349. And also, please follow this Facebook page for updates on our live streams, latest labor advisories, issuances, announcements, and activities of the Bureau of Working Conditions and the Department of Labor and Employment. Again, I am Eunice Bingil, your moderator for this program, and on behalf of the Bureau of Working Conditions, thank you for joining us on this holiday webinar, and see you again next episode.
Para sa mga katanungan at karagdagang impormasyon, maaari po tayong tumawag sa DOLE Hotline 1349 o sumangguni sa mga DOLE Regional o Field Office na nakakasakop sa inyong lugar paggawa.